The voice of Charleston, 58 WCHS.
58 Live, 58 WCHS, Rick Johnson and Michael Agnello. And with us is presidential candidate Buddy Roemer. He's a former governor and congressman from Louisiana. Also, I know along the way, owned a bank, founded a bank, and got out of that, I guess, in the last several years. We don't have a whole lot of time, Buddy, so we did want to touch upon some of the major topics.
Absolutely. By the way, I still have the bank. It's called Business First Bank. It's about $1 billion bank. We didn't foreclose on a single mortgage holder. We didn't take a dime from the federal government, and we made money every quarter the last 5 years.
Wow.
Buddy, I'm telling you what, I'm becoming your campaign manager here. But anyway, Buddy, it's Mike Agnello. And just a quick, I know we've got limited time. I could talk to you for an hour, but just some thoughts on how much damage Obamacare will do if it proceeds, and what would you do?
It's $500 billion in new taxes. That's $500 billion, $560 billion to be exact. It's a ton of new regulations, particularly on small business. It's the enemy of small business. It's got a couple of good points to it. I like pre-existing conditions being covered. I like that young people can stay in a family and be covered up to the age of 26. Those two things should be kept. Everything else should be eliminated. Here's what I would do. We need to lower the cost of health care. I would start with doctors, nurses, and patients. Obama started with lawyers, lobbyists, insurance companies, big hospitals, tort lawyers, and pharmaceuticals. So I'm going to end in a different place than he did. I will force insurance companies to compete. Obama protected them. You can't buy health insurance across the state line. That is stupid. We need competition and choice. It will lower our costs. Number two, he protected pharmaceutical companies. They gave him a lot of money. I know that's important. But what he said was they don't have to have competition from Canada, which is less than half our cost. And number two, they can't give price discounts. Number three, I would have tort reform. We have more frivolous lawsuits in medicine than in any other industry. We need to reform that. Those who sue frivolously need to pay the cost of the suit. And finally, number four, I would offer to providers of all sorts, equipment, Band-Aids, hospitals, anybody that can lower the cost by 10% in a single year and document it, holding service the same, I will let them keep 25% of everything they would save. Now, you talk about health reform, that's health reform. I'm 45 years a diabetic. We need health reform. Obama went in directly the wrong way. I had to talk fast.
No, listen. Listen.
Let me catch my breath. I'm an old guy. I'm 68. I can't talk that fast.
No, brother. The two guys you're talking to are at that 60 mark, so you're not old. You're a peer. You're a peer in our group.
Good.
Yeah, 68 is the new 48.
That's right.
And you know, balancing the budget. I heard you speak, and you said something to the effect of, it's not about the deficit; it's about the spending.
Absolutely.
How would you address our budget?
Look, deficits are the direct result of spending. So all of these programs that lower the deficit don't do us any good if we're spending 25% of our gross domestic product at the federal government. I would not blow the government up. I know some people recommend that, and I won't use Ron Paul's name. He's a good guy. I served in Congress 30 years ago with him. I would lower spending by 1% of gross domestic product a year for 5 years. That's $151 billion a year for 5 years. That's not $1 trillion, like Ron Paul said, but it's steady. It's certain. I would have a 5-year budget. I would eliminate all subsidies for oil, gas, ethanol. I would have a consolidation of IT. It's never been done in our government before. We're going to lose 42% of our federal workers over the next 10 years. They've already signed contracts to leave. That's when they retire. I would not replace half of them. You don't have to fire anybody, but you save $120 billion a year doing that. I would be smart. I would be wise. I would cut off subsidies. I would ask Democrats and Republicans to join me. When I was a member of Congress, guys, I submitted my own budget every year, and it was balanced. It can be done, and you can protect the old, you can protect the poor, you can protect the weak, but you cannot make false promises. You have to look at entitlements, raise the retirement age of Social Security. Here's how I would do it. I would do it 1 month a year for 24 years. That's raising it by 2 years over a quarter of a century. It can be done. Wise, focused, fair.
That's a bumper sticker right there.
There it is. That's your bump. That's right.
I like
That's
that.
the one.
Let me write that down. What did I say?
I've got a recording. I'll send it to you, brother.
Okay, good.
And speaking of energy, securing energy independence, we're in a coal state here. No secret, coal is under fire by this administration.
It is, and coal has got to respond. Now, I'm a market guy. I believe that our government's energy policy is a disgrace. You know, I believe in clean air and bright water. I think it means more jobs. I think we all know that to be true. But we need balance. And we need to stop being addicted to foreign oil. We have enough energy supplies in this country. Wind, solar, geothermal, tidal, coal, clean nuclear if we do it right. Natural gas is our key for the next 40 years. Oil produced domestically. We need to be more independent. And the way I would do it would be to offer in the marketplace all forms of domestically produced energy. I would open Yucca Mountain for nuclear repositories. I mean, we're the only nation on earth that spent $19 billion for a nuclear repository that's safe, and no president has the guts to open it. And because Nevada has a caucus, Nevada has a vote, and they're afraid they're going to lose the votes. Well, what about losing a nation? 20% of our energy needs come from nuclear, and we do it unsafely. We store those spent fuels at the different plants. They ought to be stored at the nuclear repository. I would use coal. There are different functions that coal can play a role in, and the industry knows it, and I know it. I'm an energy guy, but I would ask coal to get as clean as we can get, and the marketplace will reward it because it's cheap, and that's its value. I wouldn't arbitrarily kick it off the wagon. We need everything we can get pulling this load.
You know, buddy, that's really one of the only all-of-the-above strategies I've ever heard. And I'm sure you'd also agree with that when you talk about eliminating all those subsidies and all those incentives, you'd also take them off the table for wind, solar, and the rest of it.
Absolutely, especially there. I mean, we have an estimated loss of wind and solar subsidies of $21 billion on the books right now that haven't even been accounted for. We've been subsidizing those things for 20 years. Obama has doubled it and doubled it again, and it's leading us nowhere. Look at the world. If you added up all the solar produced power in the world, it's zero. It's less than 0.5%. In America, it's 1.5%, and that's doubled in the last 10 years. Okay, double in the next 10 years. That gives you to 3%. And these fools are talking about eliminating nuclear, eliminating coal, and they're going to go solar and wind. It's not going to happen. We need to be smart, guys, and we need to be clean as we can be, but we need to be America first and stop sending our Marines on oil duty in foreign lands.
Buddy Roemer is our guest running for president, and you can get in touch with him on his website, which is buddyroemer.com. That's BUDDYROEMER.com. BuddyRoemer.com, and we have about 5 minutes remaining, so it's going to be sort of the Jeopardy round here. We'll go with Michael.
I'll be faster, I promise, guys.
Michael Agnello for 500.
Okay, here's the one, and this one's been a bugaboo for so many people. And anyway, education reform. If I hear it one more time, I think I'm going to gag because everybody just keeps throwing more money at it and new ideas, and we get worse and worse.
Well, how are we doing? Is more money the answer? I don't see it. 6 years ago, the Department of Education budget was $11 billion. This year, it's $79 billion. Are we 7 times better as a nation in terms of our schools? Schools don't come from Washington. There's not a single school board meeting at the Department of Education. There's not a single child there. There's not a single teacher there. The answer is in West Virginia. The answer is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The answer is with parents and households and school boards and teachers and politicians there. We've got to come together and put these kids first. Now, I believe in education reform, and I believe there's nothing more important in America, but it does not come from Washington. Washington is the enemy of reform. Washington is the friend of people with big checks, and that has nothing to do with education.
You know, I couldn't agree more. You know, I heard somewhere that I really like this. When we talk about health care reform or education reform, how about using 50 laboratories? How about 50 states?
Oh, man. The states are the laboratories for our democracy. I mean, that's what the founding fathers said. And, history's proven them pretty damn smart. And we ought to remember them and listen to them. I'm not saying that Washington is unimportant. We need a national defense. We need a trade policy. I mean, China is running over us, guys. It's embarrassing. I've been to China 25 times, more than all the other candidates put together. I've been in the back rooms of these plants. I see 8- and 9-year-old kids working 12 hours a day, and we take those products in this country like there's no cost in the world. We're being fools. We need smart trade. We need fair trade. And I'm not trying to eliminate Washington. I just think it's corrupt, and I think we need to take it back again.
All right, you have about 60 seconds to give us your plan for tax reform.
I would keep it simple. I would keep it fair. I like a flat tax, although I'm open to a fair tax. My fair tax would have the first $50,000 of income for a family of 4 be yours. That's for your family. That's for your local taxes. That's yours. That's not the government's. Over $50,000, I would tax it at 17% for everybody, and there's no exclusion, no deduction. Everybody pays, including Warren Buffett, including General Electric. How about that for a change? If you make $100,000 under my plan, you pay 8.5%. If you make $200,000, you pay 11.5%. If you make $1 million, you pay 17%. Everybody pays a little bit. I would lower the tax margin, keep it clean and simple, and this country economically will begin to roar again. But these politicians won't do it, guys. Obama gave his State of the Union message. He had 7 new tax exclusions of credit. That's for the wealthy and the special. How about for the working man? He gets nothing.
Just one final thing. What about things like the earned income tax credit?
It would be gone.
Oh, okay. Alternative minimum tax?
Gone. Double tax gone. Marriage penalty gone.
Man,
you would have this thing clean. There would be no exemptions, no home mortgage. Now that's important to people. Gone under my plan. I want the marginal rate as low as possible. I want government out of our lives on how we spend our money. People sit around making tax decisions. Is that stupid? Why would we make tax decisions? Why don't we make decisions for our family, for our neighborhood, for ourselves? I want to get the government out of our lives in that sense. The code should be adequate. 17% will do it for corporations and for individuals, but we're going to lower the rate as low as possible.
All right, Buddy Roemer, final word. Thank you, sir, for being with us today on 58 Live. Can we have you back?
I love it, man. Y'all give me a chance. I just need a chance, and thanks for doing this for me.
All right, Buddy, Thank you so much. Good luck to you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Buddy Roemer for president, 2012. 58 Live, we have to step aside.
I feel cleansed.
Cincinnati Reds baseball is next.